I haven't bottomed out once, going over any little bumps or anything like that. Sometimes you'll bottom out with the shocks. This truck hasn't done it once. Well, here we go. We are setting off on my personal favorite trail here on the off-roading course that I've kind of set for these vehicles that I'll be testing over the next few months. Now, the reason I like this trail is it's not the smoothest trail, so it really tests out the ride comfort of the suspension and the shocks on a vehicle. And then also it has a bunch of up and down motion and some turns as well. So then it also tests the handling, but we do have another handling course that has some bigger turns that we'll test this truck on. And it has these really deep ruts, which some of them, to be honest, are kind of annoying and kind of scary to an extent. But a lot of them I really like because, again, it kind of tests out the truck a little bit, the maneuverability, everything. Some of them you try to avoid, basically, like this little rock right there. Some of them you try to avoid, and some of the other ruts, though, you've got to have the ground clearance and everything to go through them. So again, it kind of tests that aspect of the vehicle, and this is the one we want to avoid right here. So we kind of pop on the top here for a second, and then once we get to the end right here, we have to kind of drive back down in. Now in this portion, I kind of want to take things a little bit slow, or else we'll kind of just hit really hard and it won't be comfortable whatsoever. But yeah, I feel like you don't have to be a good driver to be able to drive this truck. Like, it's very easy to drive. This would be a great truck if you have never done any sort of off-roading before and you want to learn how to do some off-roading. This would be a really good truck to actually learn how to off-road on. Now, this is one of the ruts that's kind of annoying, but the Titan's actually like the perfect width that we're able to kind of sit on top of the rut, and we'll get a little bit coming through there. Yeah, pretty good so far. I'm impressed. I am very, very impressed. Now this is kind of the flat section coming up here. You can get a little bit of speed, get some tail happy action happening, a little bit of drifting if you want. Today's probably not the best day for that, to be honest, because since it has been kind of wet out here, all this is clay and it's very hard packed right now. When it gets really dry, it will get somewhat sandy, and then when it's sandy, it's nice and soft, and then you can get some fun drifts. But when it's just this hard packed clay, yeah, it's not really worth trying. It's just uncomfortable. And we're gonna take a quick, well, I'm gonna take a quick break here to go clean off the cameras again. But hopefully you guys kind of enjoyed the first part of my favorite trail. So now we're setting off in probably my least favorite part of the trail at this time of the year. So in the summertime, this part's really fun because, again, it's all sand. But now that it's kind of getting towards the tail end of winter, it's just nasty, hard-packed clay, which just gets the truck all dirty, sadly, which is gonna be a fun time for me to clean off. But more importantly, it's just not the most comfortable material to drive on. And you guys can see it kind of creates these not really super deep ruts, but you can get deep ruts depending on how many people come out and drive out here and all that kind of stuff. But the high-speed stability, I mean, we're going 50 miles an hour almost, is really good here for the Pro-4X, and we kind of want to slow down through this part. And this shows the ground clearance because we're on either side of the rut right there. Good ground clearance, really good ground clearance. Woo! That was kind of fun. We kind of jumped up a little bit there. And now this is going to be the fun part. And I'm going to back up. You guys won't see any of that because we got to make sure the cameras are cleaned off after all that clay. But this trail, this is our high-speed fun trail. Woo! Got a little bit of some spin action right there because, again, we're still in two-wheel drive. Now this first part of the trail, I do have to take a little bit slower because the ruts here from the bikes that come out here are extremely deep. And I mean, I don't know any vehicle, unless it's crazy lifted, that's able to go like through these ruts. I mean, even like TRX, Raptor that have crazy ground clearance, they're gonna bottom out with these. And so I've got to kind of go slow through this portion until we get through these. Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about. You guys can see it is pretty deep. It looks like someone fell looks like someone fell in on that one because it's kind of caved in on the side. So it looks like heavy vehicle came through and then kind of got tanked through that one, which, I mean, it happens to the best of us. But yeah, so far it's doing a really good job. Now this is the crazy deep one that we want to definitely go slow on. And it looks like it's having some collapsing happening there. Yeah, 9 degrees. Ooh, 9 degrees. Look at that, guys. We made it through the first little section, and I have to go get a cool picture because it's gonna look cool on that. Man, people say that I don't really take the vehicles off-roading, and as you can see here, we've got a pretty good amount of lean. I love the angles from this, and if you don't believe me, this is a lot. First off, I had to climb up that, which is pretty crazy, but wait for it. We've got to clear the screen right here. 14 degrees to the side. I think that's pretty decent. I mean, the Titan's doing so well here in this little section. A little bit precarious though. I mean, you guys can see if this little part of the bank caves in, then yeah, definitely scary. But the Titan Pro-4X is killing it so far on the off-road. We are now continuing back on the rest of this trail, and don't worry, got some pretty cool photos there of the Pro-4X on that little ledge. But let's get up and going again. Now this is, again, the higher speed portion of the trail, and you guys will probably notice there's a lot of kind of up and down motion happening here on this portion of the trail. Lots of rock avoiding, because there's, you know, most of these rocks are fine, but there's some ones that are definitely larger in size that don't want to run into. Yeah, good high speed stability. And here we go, this is what I'm talking about. So you got the down and then the up. Woo. Then you got some ruts right here. Boom. Yeah, the shocks are all absorbing it really well. It's doing a really good job going through this trail at higher speeds. Yeah, pretty good. The back end does dance around a little bit, but I mean, again, that's kind of expected with every single truck in this particular segment's going to have that, because they don't have live valve or active shocks or anything like that. But yeah, so far I'm impressed. Again, I'm really impressed with the Pro-4X. I love the steering feel of the truck too. On the off-road, so on-road the steering feels kind of heavy, but on the off-road it feels perfect. It doesn't feel too heavy or anything like that. It feels like it's like the perfect amount of weight. Hopefully that wasn't my GoPro. I kind of heard a popping sound. Hopefully that wasn't the suction cup. Oh boy. But almost to the end of this portion of the trail. And then this is where we're gonna see the braking here, because don't want to go straight through. Yeah, solid. Woo! Boom. Getting up onto the last portion here of the trail with the Pro-4X, and we've got more extremely deep ruts. You know what? We're just going to avoid that one altogether. That is not going to be fun. Let's go on this top portion. I love the width of this truck. It's not too wide, that you can kind of maneuver around things easily and just kind of go around the whole trail. Whereas in my truck, it's like taking up the whole trail, so it's you don't get to do all that maneuvering and avoiding stuff and all that, which definitely is not the funnest. Yeah, this is good. Gonna let the driving do the talking for you guys. Ooh, good thing we got those off-road shocks to absorb all of that. And I haven't bottomed out once going over any little bumps or anything like that. Sometimes you'll bottom out with the shocks. This truck hasn't done it once, which I'm very surprised. I was expecting it to happen at least once in today's video, but so far hasn't happened. Easy enough up that little hill. And now we're gonna go on to the handling trail. And then if the weather is being nice, then we'll finish things off with a little hill climb. If the weather is not being so nice, well, sorry. But I mean, we've gotten a pretty good review in so far. Speaking of talking about testing out the truck, ooh, that is vertical. That was pretty vertical. I felt like we were like going straight. I mean, you guys heard the parking sensors, they were freaking out. I felt like we were going straight into the ground. I mean, you guys can see the Titan Pro-4X is an off-roading machine.